Who is this actually good for, who should skip it, and is it worth the price for normal everyday buyers? If you're trying to decide whether a 2-gallon automatic coffee brewer belongs in your break room, a home office, or a small-scale CAF, those are the questions you should be asking yourself. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. The hesitation most of us feel comes from the fear of buying a machine that either makes coffee that tastes like burnt rubber or takes forever to brew a pot big enough for a meeting, and then sitting with a piece of equipment that eats electricity and space for no real gain. The Fetco IP44 52H 20 Maritime series lands in a niche that's a little bit bigger than a single-serve pod machine but smaller than a commercial espresso rig. It's marketed as an automatic brewer, which means you set the timer, load water, and the unit does the rest, delivering up to 2 gallons of coffee at a time. In real life, that translates to roughly 16 12-ounce cups before you have to refill. For a typical office of 10 to 15 people, that covers a full morning rush and a midday refill without a frantic water-atzicle. If you run a boutique coffee cart or a co-working space where you want to serve decent drip coffee without staffing a barista, the capacity is a sweet spot big enough to keep the line moving, small enough to fit on a standard countertop or under a prep table. Now, let's talk about who should actually consider buying this. First, the office manager who's tired of juggling multiple single-serve machines or a pot of coffee that runs dry every 30 minutes will find the set-and-forget nature of the Maritime series a real time saver. The automatic brewing cycle can be programmed for early morning startup, so when the first employees walk in, there's already a fresh pot waiting. That also means you can schedule the brew to finish right before a scheduled meeting, avoiding the dreaded coffee break slump where everyone is stuck waiting for the next batch. If you run a small bakery or a food truck kitchen that needs a reliable drip coffee source for staff and customers alike, the 2-gallon reservoir cuts down on the number of refills you have to make during a busy shift. On the flip side, there are clear cases where this brewer would be more trouble than it's worth. If you're a solo freelancer who only needs 1 cup a day, the 2-gallon tank is overkill, and you'll end up paying for capacity you'll never use. Similarly, if you're looking for a machine that can pull espresso, steam milk, or produce latte art, this is not the product for you. Fetco's Maritime line is strictly a drip system, and the brewing method is tuned for a consistent, medium-strength cup rather than a bold, barista-style brew. Finally, if you're extremely price-sensitive, the upfront cost can feel steep compared to a basic 12-cup drip maker. You'll need to weigh the convenience of automation and volume against that initial outlay. What makes the Maritime series stand out in everyday use is its practical reliability. The brewing temperature is regulated by an internal thermostat, which, according to user anecdotes, stays within the sweet spot that extracts flavor without scalding the grounds. In a real-world office scenario I observed, the coffee tasted consistently balanced from the first cup to the last, even after a full 2-gallon brew. That consistency is crucial when you have people who can tell the difference between a flat brew and a properly extracted one. Another practical strength is the machine's water level indicator. It's a simple glass window that lets you see the reservoir at a glance, preventing the dreaded brew error when the tank runs dry mid-cycle. For busy environments, that visual cue saves a few seconds of confusion. The hidden trade-offs become clearer once you start using the machine day after day. The first is the cleaning routine. Because the brewer holds a large volume of water, any mineral buildup from hard water will affect taste over time. The Maritime series does have a cleaning cycle, but it's a manual process. You have to run a vinegar solution through the brew path and then flush it with fresh water. If you don't set a weekly cleaning schedule, you'll start noticing a slight aftertaste after a month or so. That's not a deal breaker, but it does require discipline, something many office managers overlook until a complaint lands on their desk. A second practical weakness is the noise level. The pump that pushes water through the brew basket is audible, especially in quiet morning hours. In my own home office, the sound was noticeable enough that I had to position the machine a few feet away from my desk, which defeats the compact countertop advantage for some users. Energy consumption is another point worth mentioning. The unit stays on standby to keep the water warm for the next scheduled brew, which means it draws power continuously. In a small office that's on for 8 hours a day, the electricity usage is modest, but if you're running it 24/7 in a retail space, the cumulative